Must Mubarak go straight away so the system can change, or can he outmaneuver the protesters and get the dignified exit he wants? Now the Muslim Brotherhood have taken their first tentative steps into negotiations. The Mubarak regime increasingly believes it has averted revolution. Earlier today, I spoke to Egypt's Foreign Minister, Ahmed Aboul Gheit. Is there now any possibility, I asked, of Hosni Mubarak going before September?
No, that is the understanding, because the most important thing of whatever arrangements that are taking place right now is that you have to maintain a constitutional process.
So the revolution has failed in that sense?
No, on the contrary. I wouldn't say a revolution. I would say that upheaval of the youth in Tahrir Square have attained the objective of transforming Egypt from one era to another era constitutionally.
You sound like you think it's a good thing.
I think it is a very good thing, because I wouldn't see tanks firing on people as we saw 20 years earlier in China, and I do not see a president who has been serving his country for 30 years being deposed.
But it wasn't peaceful last week, was it? When all those thugs came out,
sadly,
that wasn't peaceful.
Sadly. But I have to admit, I have seen hundreds of thousands of Egyptians demonstrating and saying, we support President Mubarak. That is effective.
Hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands.
Where?
In Mustafa Mahmoud Square. I refer you to that. But you do not want to see. You want to see only part of the picture. However, we will not go back to last week. We will go back to next week. And next week, we will see Egypt moving from one stage of development to a major plunge to a new era.
But why did it take so long? If you think these reforms are a good idea, why did it take young kids in the streets to force you to change?
Yes, that's
a shameful thing, isn't it?
That is the fact of life. Often societies have to be surprised by a certain event in order to transform itself. That is a fact of life. I have to accept it and to admit it.
Do you feel that you have been the victim of interference by America and Britain? They turned on President Mubarak very quickly.
I see certain attempt from Western powers to impose in Egypt a certain course. I detest it and I reject it, and the Egyptian people rejects it, and we will not accept it.
What didn't you like? When President Obama, when David Cameron said change now?
Now we say no. We will do it according to our own pace and our own constitutional process. And then they were insisting that you start now, though the process was starting or has started already a couple of days earlier.
But isn't the truth that they were responding to what the people say, which is that this is a security state? They live in fear of the secret police. They live in fear of their own freedoms.
Why did they maintain the best of relationship with Egypt? Because that is not true.
This has never been a state in which the police abuse their position?
Maybe there has been lots of abuses, but that was not the order of the day.
People have not been tortured, locked up without trial?
No. Maybe there has been certain actions on the part of certain police officers.
So there has been
absolutely
human rights abuses and torture.
Nobody would try to attempt to deny. However, I have also to always verify, because you do not just say in the abstract, this has been happening. Give me cases and prove it, and then I react to it. And if I react to it, I have to react in justice according to due process.
Do you understand what the American position is now? They seem to have been zigzagging all over the place.
Listen.
Are they supporting you staying in power through the transition or not?
Listen, whether they support or they do not support, the decision is Egyptian. The decision is Egyptian.
With or without American aid?
Absolutely.
The Egyptian foreign minister talking to me earlier, well, our international editor Lindsay Hilsum is with me now. And the big news today was the Muslim Brotherhood entering talks. They're still technically illegal. What does that actually mean?
What it means is that they will have to become legal at some point. But I think it also raises the question of who represents whom. At the moment, on the square today, I found people who said, yes, the Muslim Brotherhood, they represent about 20% of the people, that's fine. And the Muslim Brotherhood is going very softly. The conversation I had with one of their leaders, no, we would stick to international agreements and so on. However, there is no doubt that they are anti-Israel. There is no doubt that they believe in having the Sharia, Muslim law, even for secular people. There are a lot of gritty issues there. And even though it's all sweetness and light amongst the different groups of protesters at the moment, it won't necessarily stay like that.
So 13 days in, how do you measure it now? I mean, yesterday you said you thought Mubarak was stronger than he'd been in the last couple of weeks. I mean, is it still going his way?
Well, you talked to the foreign minister and he said that President Mubarak would not step down. Vice President Omar Suleiman is the one who's conducting the negotiations with all these opposition parties and groups. But he had a big picture of President Hosni Mubarak behind him when he did that. So for the moment, the government seems to feel that it can stick it out, it can do that, and the people will just stay in the square, they say.
And they still say no progress until Mubarak goes?
Yeah, what they say in the square is, OK, negotiations, there are all these issues. They certainly want detainees released. They certainly want liberalisation of the media, which are in the issues which were discussed in those meetings today. But they still say that they're not leaving because they still have no trust in this government.